I'm about to make a lot of y'all uncomfortable, and I'm fine with that. Yo, big shout out to all the support though. We'll be streaming, talking about this, of course, later tonight, 7 p.m. Central, here on YouTube. But I had to do this video. Let me start by saying this. Leftists, in particular, are not to be taken serious or seriously when it comes to the gripe about police brutality. Now, did this situation in Minneapolis, I guess, kind of influence this video? Absolutely. But this is a particular point that I've made before. Many times before. Hell, it's in one of our most popular songs in self-ownership. When I say, for example, when a cop shoot a black man, you focus on the racism, ignoring all the statism. Holding signs, riding, is not about to save him because you must have forgot that's the power that you gave them. And actually, now that I'm thinking, I was about to recite that whole verse because that whole verse almost personifies what's going on here. And I wrote that song probably 4 years ago. As soon as I mention the left and their position on police brutality, you get these people who I believe have soft spots for leftists when they go, well, what about the right? It's such a cringy thing to say because I make all these videos talking about conservatives and they're, borderline worship, well, maybe not borderline, worship of the police, military folk, and so forth, right? I don't hold my criticism. So I think when people will respond like that, they just have a soft spot for leftists. But leftists aren't to be taken seriously when it comes to this concept of police brutality, or really this concept altogether. In just a matter of not even 24 hours. These types went from advocating lockdowns, imprisoning people in their homes, policies that have put Americans, 30 to 40 million of them, out of work and counting. They've preached that we're in this together, social distancing, all of this other stuff, right? And all of that went out the window in less than 24 hours. He saw this video, thankfully that the video was taken, because Lord knows what would have happened if it wasn't. Video taken, and then we're back to, okay, oh, woe is me, black man gets knee to the back of the head and he unfortunately gets murdered. Or, whatever way that you want to describe it, he's no longer with us and he's killed by way of the cops. And now you're seeing, everybody's mad. You're seeing you're seeing black folks, people's other races joining them, and throwing stuff at cops. That is what it is. Rioting, right? And they're so close together, or at least they got masks on, I guess. They're so close together. Also, all that stuff went out the window, right? And people justify that because these people are irate. It just goes to show that all of that weirdness together, so all that is a bunch of bogus. If it saves one life, all that is a bunch of nonsense because they didn't come out in criticism of the people that are bunched up in these numbers in advocacy and activism and protesting, right? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. In fact, you were criticizing other protesters that were against the lockdowns. I saw those same groups of people, same blue check marks, criticizing other people that were against the lockdowns and were protesting. Now people are protesting for another different reason, and this was all a joke. The lockdown had been a joke. These people's and their catchphrases was nonsense. But I just had to get that out the way. But the reason why leftists aren't to be taken seriously when it comes to, and a lot of y'all, I don't know, some of y'all maybe identify as centrists. I don't know. But if you're one of those that gripe about police brutality, and you do not address the core issue, you're not to be taken seriously. Now, some of you, unfortunately, want to fight this invisible man, invisible enemy, which exists. But the reason why I call it invisible is because you guys seem to have a very difficult time identifying it, and that's racism. That's where it shifted. That's been the narrative. If it can be clung to, people, you guys love to, march and have discussions and, oh, look at us. We're being unfortunately treated because of the tone of our skin. You think that these black folks and other folks get tired of just seeing y'all's asses get whooped on the internet or choked out or something like that by way of the cops. And you think that you want to get to the root of the actual issue. But what's going on right there when it specifically pertains to police brutality, it's not the racism element. Y'all want to limit it to this because, again, that's something that y'all are comfortable about talking, or y'all are comfortable talking about. It's easy, right? That's right. That's easy, right? Racism. Let's see, black person, white cop, even though there were cops that were involved that were not white. But, hey, who cares about the facts? They gripe. Oh, racism. Look at us. Oh, black man. And then, again, just not too long ago, they were advocating for lockdowns, and this is what's going to have to happen probably out of this situation. These cops are going to be charged with something. It's going to phase out the media cycle for a little bit. People will have their little time to discuss. And then we're going to move on and start talking about lockdowns, where the same groups of people are going to advocate that their neighbors be punished by way of the same folks who they griping about right now. Laws, orders enforced by the same folks they griping about right now. And again, like I said in my last video, this is a conversation that makes you guys uncomfortable, that you guys do not want to have, because it deals with an actual solution. You have to understand what this institution is, right? What this institution is. When I talk about law enforcement officers, when I talk about the state, this is why when you limit it to race, you're not actually understanding what the institution is. And because you don't understand it, you can't find some sort of resolution. Any of you other guys would have absolutely no problem, right? You say, oh, we got our ancestors, right? You go around saying this stuff like you'll slap the shit out of any white person, right? This is how you guys feel, right? They never do that to you. But when it comes to people with pretty badges, people are hesitant to do something. And it makes sense. I'm not going out there telling you to go risk your life. Maybe you can live to fight another day. I certainly, if you do, I defend you. I defend anybody against any aggressor, whether it be cop or not. So if a bystander went and charged at that cop that was on that man's head, I would have been defending him. So I'm not telling you to go do it. I'm just saying. But that institution has that territorial monopoly on use of force, violence, and ultimate decision making in the position of power, that authority, the badge gives them, is what makes people hesitant to react at something. This is why I'm telling you it's not about the race thing, because you guys would say that would never happen to you in the event that it was regular individual. And I understand, because it's easier to combat that in court. It's easier to combat that on the spot. But when the guy has the badge, it's just this constant risk assessment, man, because you're like, I want to defend myself against this guy, but I also want to live to fight another day. And you hope that the courts are on your side. Sometimes they're not. And maybe most times they're not. It's a very difficult thing when it's that institution, but that's the issue here. And because y'all limit every damn thing you can to racism, you're not actually coming up with any solution. You're just bitching and moaning about police brutality. Handing these guys a new piece of paper with new rules is not going to resolve the issue. They don't follow the ones that already exist. So this is why I hate, this is why you never will see me marching. You'll never see me talking about quote unquote criminal justice reform. I hate that term because it sort of makes it seem like I want to change what exists tweak what exists right now when I want to get it out, right? There's a institutional issue here with what it is. So the answer has always been to rid them of in whatever way possible of the power that they have. Now, again, that's a conflict of interest to a lot of these people that are grabbing right now, because any other given day, again, just a couple of days ago, before this, the entire country was talking about this virus and this lockdown, in which they were snitching on their neighbors. They were snitching on their neighbors, advocating for other people to snitch on their neighbors. advocating that the state locked down these folks because they were scared of this virus. That just happened, man. That we're not far removed. It may seem like it because we got a crazy cycle where everybody's talking about this on social media, but that just happened, bro. This is why it's such an uncomfortable conversation for them to have, because they need that institution to enforce their nonsensical orders and their nonsensical laws. It's just when that institution starts whooping up on them, oh my God, whoa, it's me, look at us all. It's not, and it's never going to get resolved. We're going to revisit this soon again, because there's a structural issue here. They have power. They have a lot of it. And obviously, I'd argue, too much. And then what it does is it encourages conflict with these individuals. And the more power that they get, the more leeway that they get, the more bold they get, because they come from this position of authority that they have, and they have said authority that no other individual can replicate. That's what makes them the state. That's what makes them law enforcers. They can do what you can. If you did what they did, you'd be charged for murder. If three cops were on a man and they slowly killed that man, if he didn't like you, he wasn't an aggressor. Like, he didn't just get done committing a murder or something like that. If you do that, you would get charged with murder. This is what the difference is at play here. So these people I know is, what's your solution? Remember, my solution has always been the same. I want to rid them of the power that they have. I want to limit the conflict that individuals have with this institution. Now, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, so of course I want them all the way up out of there. But some of y'all not ready to take that leap. All right, cool. Even if I conceded that they got weaker in terms of what it is that they are able to do, I think that's actually the direction that we're going to have to move in anyway. It's not going to be light switch libertarianism, light switch freedom. What's going to have to happen is that we're going to move in the direction of, okay, these people stop having the power that they have, more so the exclusivity that they have in said power. When they are afraid of some sort of reaction, or they are afraid that someone bests them, competes with them, I think at that point, you're going to start to see a change in their behavior. But you guys advocate a lot of policies that ensure conflict with this institution. Ensures more conflict with these guys. And in the event someone says slightly resist, and I will never, ever get upset with someone for resisting tyranny. Now, it may cost you your life. And again, I'm not telling you to go do it. I'm just saying there's a difference between me telling you to do something and a difference between me defending. If you got ballsy and you defended yourself against an aggressor, and that aggressor happened to have a badge, you can always expect a defense of Eric July, period. Because I don't sit up here and make exceptions for when the aggressor should, is the aggressor. Aggression is aggression. I'm talking about actual property rights violations. But you guys ensure this conflict. And then on the other hand, which again, this is the most important part of it, you try to send these goons to do your bidding. You see this on people that are of different sides, whether it be mainstream conservative, maybe mainstream progressive. These people have things that they want the cops to do for them that are enforcing orders or enforcing laws that don't have an actual victim. There's no act of aggression or anything like that. And there's so many of those in the books, and there's no law small enough that if you choose to resist at any point, they won't kill you. They'll try to kill you if you get the right or the wrong cop, depending on how you want to define it. This is how it operates. This is how the world is. Tough situation, or more so a tough conversation that you guys want to have. If you're ready, I'm always here. When you're ready to talk about ridding that agency or this institution of that power, I've been here. I've been talking about this for years now, guys. I've been talking about this for years. I've been the one criticizing this institution for the longest, because I recognize that that's the core issue here, right? Racism without statism is nothing more than a bad idea. You guys are brag. You big bold ass black folk. Any other guy, oh, ain't no white dude gonna do. It's all. But for whatever reason, not for whatever reason. I understand why that's the case. But when that guy puts that badge on, it's different. It hit different. That response is different. Why? Because there's a difference between that institution doing that and some Joe Blow white man doing it. It's a difference. Now, that's not to say that racism doesn't exist. I have to always make that disclaimer because there's a bunch of butthurt idiots so obsessive over racism that they think that I say that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's virtually powerless in the event that it is not backed by a badge or backed by some politician or government official or government program or something like that. It's just that. But I'm not ever gonna take these guys. This is why I don't see myself ally. Why would I ally with these guys? They want me dead any other day. Any other day, I've been combating these guys for the last couple of months, advocating against these sort of state-imposed lockdowns. The same group of weirdos been calling me all kinds of names, wishing death upon me and all kinds of things. Why do you think I would ever ally myself with these weirdos? Because they got mad at some cop, because they not ready to have a discussion about the true issue here. And then the other day, they advocating for my death. They want me dead. Did a video about this, talking about how the left wants you dead. So what the hell? Why would I do that? I'm not. But the marching ain't gonna do nothing. The rioting ain't gonna do nothing. This is an unfortunate situation. Is that other people, because these people don't know how to control their damn emotions. You're going to see, maybe now, I'm not saying just particularly in the area of Minneapolis, you're going to see maybe national-wide reactions that are going to target people that have absolutely nothing to do with this. And this is my issue with stuff like this, is that you guys have I don't know how weird it's like you got, all right, well, here's the aggressor, right? How about y'all go after the aggressors? And then in this case, some people have, right? You have people outside the precinct, you have people, man, hell, they were outside this cop's house, if I'm not mistaken. All I ask at least is that you limit your gripe to that. Y'all never do though, right? And it's gonna be other people that get caught in the crosshairs that had nothing to do with the situation. Because y'all have an issue, again, forces you to have that difficult conversation. Look at what you advocate. Do you ensure conflict with these institutions or people that are agents of the state? Do you do that? Chances are you do, all the time. And again, we're not talking about, how many times have I said it and again, but we're not talking about people that, as I said in my last video, it'd be one thing if cops did nothing. Wouldn't that be luxurious if all they did was respond to acts of aggression? And, so they were essentially protecting people. And they responded proportionately to acts of aggression. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be great, right? You're expected to do that, but they're not. And again, you don't understand the core issue. Why? Because your mind is obsessing over race. You guys, that stuff controls you. It controls you. It's kind of freaky. White supremacy and all of that. And then then y'all wonder why I don't side with you. Was like, oh, you're black. You selling out because you ain't on our side. Because y'all not on my side 364 times throughout the year. Other times throughout the year, I'm never on my side. Get up, y'all been jumping down my throat for the last couple of months. Because ultimately, you just want that institution to react how you want them to react and do your bidding. They whooping up on people that are, let's say, against these lockdowns or something like that. That's fine. You guys wish death on them all the time. That's fine. We just saw this play out that way. And then you threw all the other stupid stuff that you advocated in terms of, we're in together, social distancing, 6 feet. And you got a city full of people that's upset, rightfully, and then they group up together. And ain't nobody criticizing them about grouping up together. They don't see these people, oh, look at all those people together. They're going to kill my grandma. Ain't nobody said that, huh? Because you full of garbage. You just talking. I have absolutely no desire to sit here and limit everything that the state does to white or v black. It's such a cop-out because it doesn't address the actual institution. Like I said, I'm not worried about some private dude, citizen, doing anything to me, right? That I ain't worried about. I ain't never been worried about that. And by worried about that, what I'm meaning is I can defend myself to the best of my ability. And if I best him, I'm generally going to be okay. Long term. Cops doesn't work like that. Because if I respond, and this is why I understand why people don't get out there and do this stuff. If I respond like I would that guy in his act of, let's say, racism, because he has a badge, he's more than likely going to best me. Not because he can outshoot me or something like that. I'm saying he's more than likely going to best me because if I do something to him and I go to jail, I'm probably going to jail forever. That's the unfortunate situation. Now, I think that this will be a more collective effort to find an actual resolution. But I don't think you guys are ready to universalize this position. Saw the videos of these guys, basically telling the cops to get out. They were throwing bricks and stuff out their windows and stuff like that. All that's fine and dandy right now. But then when it's time to confiscate wealth, when everybody gets calmed down and it's time to enforce these draconian laws, so some of those same groups of people are going to be like, you got to save us. You got to save us. And right there lies your problem. Because you will advocate policy, you will advocate that institution continues to have the power that it has. All because you don't want to address the core problem. Limiting it to race is actually the cop out. I'm not the one, because I know some people like, well, you're trying to, you don't want to address this issue of white supremacy. You dope. There was 3 law boys on this man. And the one that people were like, stop this, was defending him, the one that wasn't white, also was a law boy. Why do you think people were so hesitant to jump in? Why do you think that if 3, let's just use this as an example, and this will bring this point home. Do you think that, let's say this wasn't, I still don't really know what the actual crime was in terms of what he committed, but let's just assume whether he did or didn't, whatever, it wasn't proportionate to murder, because from what I know, he didn't go murder somebody. If you saw it in the street, random black man, 3 white guys, just sitting on them, I'm willing to bet it's highly unlikely that people that are filming, people that are watching this whole ordeal play out, somebody wouldn't jump in, including the people that were griping on the deal. Get them off them, or get off of them. Why didn't they do that? It's because of who that institution is. They operate there. That's the problem, guys. That institution is the problem. But the solution is not to sit over and dwell, well, this institution treats the black people differently than is Duncan Lemp, who just got murdered in his own house. I don't even think the cops that killed him are even in jail. Y'all don't understand that ultimately, again, depending on what it is, there's no law that they won't enforce in which they ultimately won't kill you in the event that you resist. That's just it depends on what cops you get. Get them feeling some kind of way one day, and you resist too much, they might kill you, or they might attempt to kill you. But the reason why people are hesitant to actually fight back against this, and again, that part is understandable, is because of who that institution is. And that's the conversation that we got to have, because it's going to force you guys to have to sacrifice some of the policies that you advocate, because you can't get both. You can't sit up here and be like, well, I want this institution to enforce these other nonviolent crimes, or more so not nonviolent, more so aggressionless. There's no act of aggression. There's no victim here in this regards. We want you to do this. We want you to do our bit. We want you to confiscate people's wealth. We want you to read this. We want the law enforcement officers to do all of this, while then on the other hand griping when they start whooping your ass. It's the authority that you allowed them to have. Not just you allowed them to have, you advocated that they had it. And that's why it's such a difficult conversation for you guys to have, because you don't want to have that conversation, period. It forces you to have to address yourself. It forces you to have to come to terms with, you advocate policies or ideas that are diametrically opposed. It forces you to do that. You don't want to have that conversation. So what's the conversation that you have? Racism. Yo, it's easy. That's an easy conversation. Everybody will have that conversation. It'll be in and out of the news cycle. We had that conversation. We had that at least once a month. It feels like it. That's easy. That ain't no problem. Nationally, I'm speaking. Some people talk about this crap every day, believe it or not. And I'm going to end on this note. When I talked about black folks arming themselves, I'm not afraid that when I say arming yourself against an aggressor, I don't care if the aggressor has a badge or not. Like I said, I always come to your defense. Some people may say that and this is the difference between myself and a lot of other people. Some people will say that you shouldn't do that. Me personally, like, I can understand their logic and live to fight another day. You got kids and stuff like that. It's not worth it. You may as well fight it in court. I get it. I totally understand that. But in the event that you get ballsy, I'll always be at your defense. I know it's a risk assessment, but that's the difference. What happens out of this, and I see conservatives do this a lot, is that they sit up here and defend the cop, and that's why the issue never gets resolved. It's, well, you got to live to fight at the end of the day, or it's don't resist, just comply. That's not the answer. That's not how you respond to acts of aggression. You put the heat on the aggressor here. And in no circumstance should you be defending the aggressor, badge or not. So when in any event someone resists, I don't even care how bad of an idea because it got him. I don't care. That was his right to do that. That was his right to do that. And under no circumstance will I deviate from that and have this conversation of, well, just comply. No. You were wrong as the aggressor. You were wrong as the aggressor. That's the issue here. But when y'all ready to have that conversation, let's have it. Y'all ready to have those round table conversations about policies that many of y'all, including these black leaders and black leftists, advocate that are diametrically opposed. I am ready to have the conversation. But until then, they're going to keep whooping up on y'all ass. They're going to keep marching. Y'all going to keep marching in response, and then it's going to happen again. Because you don't want to address the core issue. You want your cake and you want to eat it too, whatever the hell that silly phrase means. I'm ready to have a conversation.